So wouldn't it be great if death always happened like in old movies with a few last words and dramatic background music? While death happens suddenly for some, for most of us, it's a long, drawn-out process. So why don't we as a society know more about this process? We talk about weddings and baby showers, and we share about sex, and we tell our birth stories, but if you bring up death, it's a social faux pas. Well, I'm a hospice nurse, and I actually think it's really important to talk about this process. It's one of the biggest milestones of our lives. And tonight I'd like to share the etiquette of practical dying, and I'd like to compare it to a 4-course meal. So we start with appetizers. Appetizers, decreased appetite, weight loss, smaller and smaller bites. You see this in people who've been sick for a long time, have end-stage dementia, or are just really, really old. And it's important to rule out things like depression, which is very common in older people, and things like ill-fitting dentures. But if the process really is happening, it's important to listen to the cues of the person who's starting that process, so don't force feed. Force feeding is both distressing and dangerous. The body's slowing down. It can't process that food anymore. And some people are forgetting how to swallow, and they can actually choke if you try to feed them too much. So then we have soup, salad, and breadsticks. This is quality over quantity. Not much time left, but there is enough time to fit in some joyful things and take away some painful things. So, for example, one of the things we can do is stop all medications for old people and sick people that have nasty side effects, especially when they're taken together. And you wouldn't believe it. You'll see your loved ones start to actually feel better for a time. They'll have greater mental clarity, greater energy. Use this time to have uncomfortable discussions. Who's the medical power of attorney? Where's the will? And transfer the card title to the other spouse's name, because when they die, it's going to be a lot harder to sell it. And then brace yourself, because here's the main course. It often starts with terminal restlessness. The body's metabolism gets all out of whack, and the person gets confused, delirious, maybe even aggressive. So call your hospice nurse to help here. But the cool thing about the dying process is they see dead people. They will be surrounded, your loved one will be surrounded by their dearly departed, and you will see them talking to them, reaching out to them. You will feel the presence in the room, and it is such a cool thing, and it is a real thing. I've seen this so many times. So now we start the vigil, the long dessert. The vigil takes about 3 to 7 days, maybe 10 days, and there's definite rules of etiquette for this process. First, it's important to understand what's happening in the person's body. They're burning off all their last energy. They're lying comatose in the bed, but they're sweating, they have a rapid heartbeat, they're breathing really fast like they're running a marathon. Medications can totally help them to feel better through this process, and don't be afraid of getting addicted to pain medicine. There probably isn't time before you die to get addicted, and if you do, guess what? Heaven has a wonderful inpatient recovery program. The death rattle, you'll know it if you hear it. It's like the burp at the table. It bothers everyone else more than it bothers the person who's doing it. The body's not handling fluids, and adding IV fluids can actually make things worse. Death is not a spectator sport. Save the big crowds for the funeral or the wake. And just take a few special people for the intimate part of death, and limit visitors to 3 to 5 in the room at a time. Know that hearing is one of the last things to go, so you don't need to shout, "Mom, are you still here? Open your eyes, Mom, give us a sign." This really agitates the dying person because they're trying to be at peace and make a transition, and it also irritates everyone else in the room. Give gentle words of love. "I love you, I forgive you," and my very favorite, "Mom, you've raised me to be a resilient and strong woman. Know that I'll be okay after you pass away." This is a big gift. Allow privacy. Some people are very naturally private, and this is in death too. They want to die alone, and they can't do that if their loved ones are keeping a 24/7 vigil. So give lots of breaks during the vigil. It's good for them, and it's good for you too. And finally, when death has happened, toast to a life well lived and a death well died. And please don't forget to talk about the etiquette of practical dying with your friends.